Hi guys, I just want to welcome you to Enneagram Part 2. So glad you could join us tonight. I'm actually doing this event through Eventbrite, but I'm also taping this live. So this is cool. This is TikTok and Eventbrite merging, and I like it. We're going to do Enneagram. So I'm going to talk to you about the Enneagram. Change slide. Thank you. And I want to talk a little bit about me and my business partner, okay? And we're going to talk about the Enneagram. We're going to talk about 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9 types, okay, those types. You could change slide, all right? So who am I? I'm a certified career coach. I got my master's from Fordham, an MBA, BA in economics and philosophy, and I'm a personality typologist. That's right. When you study the Enneagram and get certified in it, you become a certified personality typologist. It's really cool. And I'm a certified health coach. So I do a whole bunch of things. I get involved with therapy and counseling and coaching. So all of the above. You could change slide now. We can go on to Janet. Janet is a social worker. She's the therapist of the two of us. And she has a master's in social work, a BA in psychology, and we do counseling, all types of things. Depression, anxiety, lots of different things. Please change slide. So what is the Enneagram? Enneagram is 9 types in Greek. Ennea means 9, and gramos means types. It's based on the oral tradition from years and years ago, thousands of years ago. And essentially, it's much older than Myers-Briggs. Myers-Briggs came about in the 1940s, mid-1940s, let's say around 1945. But the Enneagram is much older than that. It's an ancient model, and it's been secularized throughout the ages. Now, the writers that I know of Don Riso, Russ Hudson, those are my mentors. And we also have Helen Parmer, we have Claudio Naranjo. There's a whole bunch of people from the oral tradition. It became a written tradition. And that written tradition is really, really cool. And basically, there are so many books. If you go into the library, Barnes & Noble, or online even, you will find hundreds of books on the Enneagram. And there are a lot of tests also. So it's the only model of personality that's dynamic, which means that there's movement, there's change. So under stress, you go one way. Under relaxation, you go another way. But we're all 9 types within ourselves. But we each have a home base. So we each have a home base, and we move throughout the Enneagram. Okay, we can change slide now. And essentially, we're going to talk about type 5 now. Type 5 is in the head center, the observer. Okay? This is the head center type, and essentially they're known for getting information, taking in a lot of information, becoming experts in a particular field. They become the experts. They're the scientists, the physicists, doctors, computer geeks or analysts. Don't be insulted if I call you a computer geek. And reading is their pleasure. And books are their pleasure. So if you go to a home of a 5, what are you going to see? A lot of books. A lot of books. And you know what? They're constantly on their computers, reading their emails and reading anything to become more expert in. They love crossword puzzles. They love all kinds of word games and word puzzles. Now, their core passion is avarice. What is avarice? Avarice is greed, but it's not a greed for money. It's a greed for information, so that they feel secure with more information to be gathered in their head center. They love to be experts in a particular field. Stephen Hawking, the physicist who has ALS, basically, he's a 5 on the Enneagram, okay? And their home is their castle. And in their home, you can see books everywhere. Their prized possession is their library. Change slide, please. And we're going to continue with this. In terms of they could be seen reading newspapers. I remember my dad constantly in the living room reading his newspaper, reading Forbes magazine. He's a 5 on the Enneagram. May he rest in peace. And my sister constantly on her computer, tablet, barely says hello to me, and just her nose is stuck to, reading more and more information. They're not emotional. So if you ask a 5 a question, they're going to answer in a very analytical, intellectual way. Typically, they're not heart-centered. They're not in the heart center. They're in the head center. So remember, when I say they're rational, we have to talk about René Descartes, the philosopher, French philosopher. Does everybody know René Descartes? He basically said, je pense que je suis. I think, therefore I am. And you know what it means? It means I think, therefore I am. I think, therefore I am. Very interesting. For 4s on the Enneagram, which is the romantic or the artist, I feel, therefore I am. So feelings for them are where it's at. The 5s, their thoughts are where it's at. The book Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus. Men Are From Mars are about 5s on the Enneagram, and Women Are From Venus, those are the 4s on the Enneagram. Very much like oil and vinegar sometimes. We talked about occupations for type 5. Remember we said, what occupations are going to be thinkers? Well, we're going to talk about scientists, of course. We're going to talk about physicists, engineers. I had an uncle who was an engineer, very 5-ish. Analysts, computer analysts, credit analysts, people who are really, really analytical. And you know what we say about analysis? There's analysis paralysis. I always like to joke with them. But intellectuals are seen here in type 5. Okay, so we could change the screen, please. And so, essentially what I'm saying is that we now finish with type 5. Okay, so we're done with 5, and now we're moving on to 6, still in the head center. 6 is the loyalist here. There's the loyal. They're loyal to people, to companies. They're known to be committed to a person for a long period of time, great in marriage. Now, these are healthy 6s, of course. Healthy 6s are wonderful. But we see the phobic 6 and the counterphobic 6. The phobic 6 is the one that has a lot of fear, and they're basically stuck with anxiety, worry, worry, worry. And the lower levels of 6, they become doubting. They don't trust. They don't trust people. And they have a very difficult time with basically their fear and anxiety. We also see with type 6, counterphobic 6s, those who run into the fear and basically are not afraid at all, but they go right directly into fear. Like someone like Evel Knievel would be considered a type 6 counterphobic. 6s want to find an authority figure to tell them what to do, which way to go. They are insecure and they want to find security. Essentially, how they find security is by asking lots and lots of questions. And what happens with these questions that type 6 asks is because they're skeptical. They're not sure you're telling them the truth. And they want to be told the truth. They want honesty. You know, like for 6, honesty is the best policy. But they can tell when someone is lying to them. They'll ask a lot of questions so they can get that security that they need, which is wonderful. Okay? So healthy 6s are loyal and true. Very unhealthy 6s are very fearful, very anxious. And I think we're finished with this slide, and we can move on to the next slide. We can move on now to the next slide. We're going to be talking about 6s. 6s are worrying. At lower levels, they are really found to be worriers and skeptical and doubting Thomases. We like to nickname them the doubting Thomas. They are also, what do they need to learn? They need to learn faith and to trust and to stop doubting everything. But it's hard because they don't trust you. So what happens if someone is just basically by nature distrusting? It's an unhealthy 6. That's very insecure, that's not trusting. How do you teach them to trust? How do you teach them faith? Well, therapy, perhaps. Maybe they should have some spiritual counseling, coaching. Faith is not something easy, you know? Faith is not an easy thing for 6s. And remember, the core passion for type 6 is fear. They're afraid. And what happens with fear is that they're running away and they're anxious. But the counterphobic 6 is running to fear. Quick story for you. Tom Condon is a counterphobic 6. He's very big in the Enneagram world. And what he typically does, he said when he was a youngster, he would jump from trains. Wow, I was pretty, he was afraid of that, but he did it anyway. So that's the counterphobic 6. And we see a lot of daredevils here and stuntmen with the counterphobic 6 quality. And we can move on to the next slide now. Now we're going to talk about type 7. Type 7, we're in the head center. And in the head center, we see type 7 as the enthusiast. Core passion, gluttony. So they want more and more and more of something. And 7s are like the most fun to be around. My mother's date is a 7, and she's a lot of fun. You see laughter, quite common. 7s can be visionaries and see beyond what is there. They can be creative, building new businesses. They can be entrepreneurs. The person who introduced the Enneagram to me was a 7, still a 7. And he was a lot of fun, and he was multitasking and building businesses. And he was a real estate broker, also involved in real estate development. I'll never forget the day he introduced me to the Enneagram, and that was a long, long time ago, and I've never put it down. So type 7s also, I think we finished with this slide. We can move on. Type 7s also do not want to grow up. They're like Peter Pans. They want to stay young forever. And you know the song, I Won't Grow Up? I think it was from Peter Pan. So we see with 7s, healthy 7s are very enthusiastic, fun. There's laughter. It's wonderful. But also we can see in type 7s at unhealthy levels addictive behavior because they want more and more and more. Maybe more alcohol, more drugs, whatever it is. This addictive type of behavior is really super unhealthy for type 7. So if more and more is their motto and is their sort of their ego, how do they stop? My question is, how do they know when to stop? I don't know if they know when to stop. That's the thing. People like to be around type 7s because they're so much fun. You know, it's like, let's go to the restaurant, and let's go to a bar next, and let's go to a show, and after that, we'll eat out again, and we'll go see some friends. It's like they are the they're the energizer battery. They just don't stop. And some celebrities that I'd like to offer you up for type 7s are Hugh Hefner and Robin Williams. Hugh Hefner was the head of the Playboy Kingdom, and Robin Williams was the comedian. So how interesting is that? I think we can go on to the next slide now. So we finished with type 7, and now we're going to go into type 8. We're going into the gut center. Gut center type 8 is the leader. Core passion is lust, and we're not talking about just sexual lust here. We're talking about lust for life. But in a sense, what do 8s really believe? 8s really think life is a battlefield. That's right, life is a battlefield. So they're ready to knock you out. They're ready. 8s have such energy. It manifests in such a strong way, it's unbelievable. They want power. And they also command attention like that. It's unbelievable. They're like warriors. They have energy. Their anger is visible. Like they're sitting on top of energy and anger. And what happens is they show this anger in a confrontational manner. The anger is very, very hardcore. And it's like in your face kind of anger. So if I give you an example, Don Rickles, Joan Rivers, as well as the former president of the United States, Donald Trump, all 8s on the Enneagram, okay? Now, 8s can be very protective of those who are vulnerable, but they can also be bullies. And when they're bullies, what happens is that's the unhealthy side of 8. And 8s can be, huge bullies, like my way or the highway. And they don't like vulnerability. They don't like weakness. When they see vulnerability, when they see weakness, it's not attractive to them. So what they do is they put it down. They make fun of it. Believe it or not. They pick a fight with it. The bullies in the schoolyard, when they see weaker people than them, weaker children, they want to pick a fight. So these are unhealthy 8s, the bullies. But healthy 8s, believe it or not, can move to type 2, the helper, get in touch with their heart center, and actually become a giving, protective individual. That's an 8 who's done quite a bit of work. Maybe they've gone to therapy. Maybe they've gone for counseling, spiritual counseling. It's very, very possible. Okay? But I was raised by an 8 mother. And when you have an 8 mother, it can be pretty much of a trip. because, the mother can be loving or the mother can be kind of like overbearing and bullying. So it's just something to think about. I think we finished with this slide. We can move to the next slide now. Now in type 9, the peacemaker. So we're like chill. We're at the chill mode. And the core passion is sloth. So when we have that core passion of sloth, it means laziness. What does laziness mean? What does that mean? It means that it's not a matter of just being lazy per se. They're lazy because they forget about themselves. They forget about what they want. So essentially, they make other people make decisions for them. So I'm going to give you an example. I have a friend who's a 9, and when I say to her, hey, let's go to this restaurant, Pastrami King, let's say, she'll say something like, okay, we could do that. Sounds fine. I'm laughing because it's so go with the flow. Keyword here, go with the flow. Let's take it one step at a time. Other expressions for type 9 are take it one day at a time. I'm thinking like as a 4 on the Enneagram, I'm thinking go with the flow. Take it one step at a time. What's that? What life are they living? I'm like, not like that. But when I hear them and they talk about it, I'm like, I get it. You're chill. You're kind of like, calm. You're not intense. I'm intense. 4s are intense. 9s are relaxed. They go with the flow. And when she said that all the time, go with the flow, go with the flow, it was like a mantra for me. Go with the flow. They're like Switzerland. Peace, peace. They don't get involved with conflict. And guess what they do? They avoid conflict. A 9 avoids conflict at all costs. Okay? They're not going to get into a fight. That's why they're nice. They're nice because they're not going to engage in any kind of fighting. But guess what? They're in the gut center, and the gut center means they're sitting on anger. If they're sitting on anger, what does that mean? It means when they get angry, it's a volcanic explosion. They rarely get angry, but when they do, you better run for the hills because it's not pretty. So 9s are sitting on this anger, and remember when, it explodes, there's like a volcanic explosion, and you're like, oh my God, I can't believe all this anger came out of them. But they're truly the nice guy or the nice girl. They get along with everybody. Everybody likes 9s. I have a friend who's a 9, and everybody likes her. You can't not like them because, remember, they don't want to get into problems and fights. They're not going to get entangled in yelling or screaming. That's the job of the 8. The 8s can be the yellers. And there are other types that are yellers too, besides the 8s. But 9s are very, very accommodating. I do want to share that with you. Completely accommodating. To the point that they're people pleasers. And I want to share with you the fact that they're such people pleasers. It makes them look like a 2 because 2s are helpers. And 2s in the heart center also look like people pleasers. But it's a different motivation. It's coming from a different place. 9s are doing it to keep the peace. They don't want anything to disturb their peace. 2s are doing it to get love in return. 2s people please to get love, unconditional love, from someone else. So, totally, behavior looks alike, motivation completely different. When we start getting more and more into the Enneagram on deeper levels, we'll start to see same behaviors, different motivations completely. Okay, let's look at the next slide, please. So, for instance, let's say a 9 wants to do something, they won't put up a fuss. If you want to do something, hey, you want to come with me to see this movie? It just came out. The 9 will be like, sure, okay, I'll come. Yep, sounds good to me. And they could be too accommodating. And you know what happens when you're too accommodating? You forget yourself. You numb out to your core motivation. You numb out to what you want. You numb out. What happens when you numb out? It's not a good thing to numb out. When you numb out to life, it means you're just going through the motions. When you're just going through the motions, you don't have goals that are set up for you. You don't have a vision in mind. There's a lot of things you don't have when you're numbing out. Or self-forgetting. When you're self-forgetting, it's not cool. Self-forgetting means like, I just disappeared. I'm like the invisible person. So 9s can be at unhealthy levels like the invisible person. Is that cool? No. Do you want to be invisible? Do you want to be invisible? No. Do I want to be invisible? No. I want to show up. But I want to show up with people as a 4, engaging in emotional, intimate discussion. I want to discuss deep ideas and emotions and really get to the heart of the issue. That's what 4s are about. 9s are totally opposite, okay? 9s are like, hey, I'm not getting into this emotional stuff. In fact, get away. You're too intense for me, Lisa. And I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm not too intense. You are not intense at all. You're too relaxed. So if they're too relaxed and I'm too intense, actually it could be a good combo, right? Because there's an offset, there's a balance. But the thing is, we talked about the gut center types, right? 8, 9, and 1. We talked about 8 and 9 today. 1's a perfectionist. The 1 is basically getting it right. They walk into a room, they want everything right. Cool. Okay? And they remember they're angry, but they're sitting on their anger. And they're basically perfectionists. They're keeping things just right, even though that does not exist in reality. The head center types, we talked about 5, 6, and 7. Today we talked about each and every head center type. 5, 6, and 7. 5 is the observer. And remember, they're very caught up in their head. 6s are the loyalists. 7s are the enthusiasts. Okay, we talked about 3 head center types tonight. And heart center, part 1 was 1, 2, 3, and 4. Heart center types are 2, 3, and 4. Types 2, 3, and 4. 2 is the helper, 3 is the achiever, and 4 is the romantic artist, also known as the individualist. So 9s, when they're relaxed, where do you think they move? When 9s are relaxed, they do move to 3. It's a wonderful thing. They move to achievement and goals. And they start becoming goal-oriented, and it's a beautiful thing to see. But when 9s stress out and move back, under stress, they move to 6. They start worrying, doubting and worrying. I've seen 9s under stress, and they start behaving like a 6. Their mind becomes worry. They get anxious, fearful. So all Enneagram types have stress points and relaxation points. And we're going to get to that at another seminar, another webinar that we do, more advanced. But I want to briefly bring up this topic of wings. What are wings? When you're in the Enneagram and you're a 1 on the Enneagram, you can have a 2-wing or you can have a 9-wing. The numbers surrounding you. If you're a 4 on the Enneagram, okay, I am a 4, so I could have a 3-wing or a 5-wing. Okay? If I'm a 6 on the Enneagram, I can have a 5-wing. I can have a 7-wing. Okay, just things to note. So the wings, you could have 1 dominant wing or you can have 2 wings. I always make a joke out of this. If you have 2 wings, you're bilingual instead of bilingual. Bilingual. No, it has not been coined, but I just like to joke about it. Now, besides wings, there's things called subtypes. What do you think subtypes are? Subtypes are a whole different level of understanding. You have social subtypes that really love engaging in group behavior, social behavior. You have intimate subtypes that really deal with one-on-one. So you're really into talking to people one-on-one, and you really are not into that much group discussion. And there's self-preservation. Self-preservation, my mom's a self-preservation 8. Go into her refrigerator. Let's say you go into her freezer. Take a look. When she was younger, she would have it stocked with every known meat and fish known to mankind. Stocked. Even the refrigerator was stocked. So self-preservation, my friend, who's a 9, self-preservation 9, if you put her pocketbook on your shoulder, you'd be like tipping to one side. I'll tell you, that pocketbook was so heavy it must have weighed 25 pounds. She had everything but the kitchen sink in that pocketbook. Why? Self-preservation types need to have everything with them, just in case. See that? just in case. My mother was thinking, just in case, there's no food or meat at the store, I need to carry all the meat in my freezer. And my other friend, basically said, just in case, I better carry everything I need to have in my pocketbook. Okay? And you would find anything. You have a candy? She'd have a candy. Lipstick? Oh, sure. Anything you needed. That was in her pocketbook. It was amazing. Self-preservation. So we have 3 subtypes, and that's a whole other discussion. There are books written on subtypes in the Enneagram. Hi, thanks for joining. It's amazing. And then the last topic of tonight, tri-types. What's a tri-type? If you take the test, go to EnneagramInstitute.com. Go to EnneagramInstitute.com and take the RETI, R-H-E-T-I. And when you take the RETI, which is the R-H-E-T-I test, for $12, you can determine what your type is. You can also determine what your tri-type is. Those are the 3 highest numbers. So for me, my tri-type, 4, 3, and 7. 4, 3, and 7. That's my tri-type. Now, I always tell people, personalities are all very unique. And we're like snowflakes. So I am like, my stacking of my subtyping could be intimate, social, self-preservation, tri-typing, 4, 3, 7. Do you think there's another person in the world like that? Maybe. But I'm saying that we have similarities, but there's so many differences. Depending on your wing dominance, depending on your stacking of your subtyping, depending on your tri-types, and all of that, I would love to discuss with you and read the results of your RETI test, which is a scientifically validated test. I would love to go over that with you, and we do free consultation. So if we change the slide, we'll talk about the free consultation, then we'll open it up to questions. So right now, let's discuss. First, is there any questions that anybody has? Please, any questions? I'd love to answer any questions. I see some people are with us. Do you have any questions? When you said my sister's just like that, is she just like, tell me what she's just like. Type it in. What your sister's just like, a 9 on the Enneagram or what? Is that Amanda? Amanda 19? Amanda 19. Tell me what your sister's just like. What do you think she is on the Enneagram? I would love to know what you think. And I want to give out free consultations so that you people can tap into a much deeper understanding of this Enneagram. Okay? For a free consult, we give out a 30-minute consultation. Oh, you think she's an 8? Oh my God, is that what you said? An 8? Oh my God, I love it. Because my mother's an 8. It's unbelievable, I'm telling you. 8s are the easiest type to type because their energy is in your face. It's like my way or the highway. It's like, they're like very powerful people. They're scary sometimes because like they can just like a steamroll over you. And it's like they're very strong. There's a feature about 8s. They're very powerful and they're very strong. And that can be an attractive quality, but not when they become a bully. Then I run away. Then I run for the hills. So, any more questions? So I love that your sister's an 8. That's so cool. Are you going to introduce her to the Enneagram? For those people who want a free consult, again, those who are on TikTok, you can just book an appointment with me when I'm not busy. Like next week is great. It's wide open. And that would be perfect. Or even Friday. But I can give you my also my number. My number is 516-474-8229. 516-474-8229. You can give me a call, and we could set up an appointment that way for a free consultation on the Enneagram.